Today we're going to be showing you exactly how to use these AI tools to produce better Facebook ads. Whether you're starting out with AI or you've been using it for a while, this tutorial will show you exactly how we put out thousands of ads every single month at our company. And I'm not just doing this on my own today. I have the privilege of being joined by one of the leading experts in the space when it comes to AI and creative strategy. I'm being joined by my friend Jimmy Slagle.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I'm really excited for this. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully people can learn a little more about how to use AI to create more ads.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man, and I think we should get straight to it. We have 6 tools that we're going to be covering today, and what I will say about these tools are, like, you see a lot of posts out there on X and LinkedIn and on the space, and in the space of creative strategy, and a lot of the tools I think are prettier than they actually are practical. And they do very well on social media, but they don't actually find themselves into people's day-to-day creative workflows. What we've tried to do in this video is actually pick out tools that we use actively day-to-day.
Yeah. I think that's really the purpose of why we wanted to shoot this podcast, is because there's so much noise out there, and I feel like everyone is kind of having this FOMO sense of what tools should we be using? Are we falling behind? Are we gonna lose our jobs soon and everything? And I think this will be the most practical, value-driven podcast episode on AI and creative strategy that exists.
Right, well, that's some build-up.
Yeah.
I think we should get straight into the tools. Okay, let's start off with Gigabrain, which is one of my favorite tools. I'm going to say that a lot in this video because I love all of these tools. I use them all the time. But let's start off with Gigabrain. Anyone who has followed my content over the last couple of years knows how much of a proponent I am of using Reddit to find the keywords and phrases that your customers use when talking about your pain point or talking about your desired transformation or their desired transformation. A lot of people think that Reddit is just like this tiny corner of the internet that has like just weirdos that just sit in their mom's basement. Reddit is absolutely huge, and if you're watching this, there's a very, very, very high likelihood that your target audience, or at least some of your target audience, are hanging out on Reddit, and there are actionable insights and little, like, really golden nuggets that you can take and use in your creative strategy. So what I've done here is I've pulled up a post on dandruff, and what I did was I just searched in how to get rid of dandruff Reddit, and this is the first post that came up. Now, what we've got here is a real life testimonial from someone who actively struggles with this problem. We want to look at the key words and phrases that this person is using, because then what we're going to do is we're going to take those keywords and phrases and we're just going to sprinkle them into our creative strategy, because then we're not sounding like a business speaking to a customer, we're just sounding like a customer speaking to a customer. And if you do this right, you should be able to create ads that make people feel like, oh, like, there's no way that these guys are not one of us. Okay, so if we look through this, we've got words like, itchy and irritated. That could very easily be a headline that we put straight into a static, or like itchy and irritated could be your headline right there. Like, I used to feel itchy and irritated, now I don't because I have X anti-dandruff shampoo. And like, there's so many of these. This is just literally the first one that came up. I haven't even gone through any of the comments, and I haven't even gone through the hundreds of other posts on dandruff. It's so useful to go and find these little golden nuggets and then put them into your creative strategy. Now, the reason I'm saying this to you guys is that I used to do this all manually. I used to go through tens, sometimes hundreds of Reddit posts and try to find these little golden nuggets. I love using Gigabrain because that basically does all of that with AI. I can come into Gigabrain and I can search dandruff. And what it's going to do is going to summarize all of the posts on Reddit on dandruff and give me a TLDR of what people are saying and what words and phrases they're using to describe this pain point. It also does YouTube comments as well, which I find less helpful than Reddit, but still useful nonetheless. You can get some good insights there from too. And the cool thing about Gigabrain is that it doesn't just give you this summary, but you can click through to the actual Reddit post. So let's say it's something you want to explore a little deeper. You can go and click through here, and it will take you straight to the Reddit post. Or what you can do is you can go on chat with Gigabrain, which is a relatively new feature that they've introduced, and you can just say what keywords and phrases are people using when describing the pain point of dandruff. Think of this as like ChatGPT, but it's instead of using the ChatGPT knowledge base, it's using real stories from real people on Reddit, which makes it invaluable. Here we go. Itching and irritation, which is the one that we actually found manually. Flaking, embarrassment. That is a great emotive word for a static or a video script. Product ineffectiveness, sensitivity, and recurrent problems. I can go into the chat here and I can go and work on this prompt. So I could say, give me more ideas like itch and irritation, give me more keywords, give me more phrases about this pain point, and really just go down the rabbit hole of the words and phrases that people use here. But a really quick summary of exactly how people are talking about this pain point, and for $10 a month, like, you really can't go wrong with this research tool.
Yeah, I mean, at $10 a month, it's kind of just like, if this can save an hour a week or an hour, even if it's a month, like that is so worth it. The other thing too is if you need help coming up with like what to search within Gigabrain, like if you're newer to the whole prompting, even though Gigabrain makes it pretty easy, you can just go into ChatGPT and say like, hey, I need to think of some Reddit search queries to use to help identify more around the problems that my customers are having, or just anything that they might be experiencing, and ChatGPT is going to be able to come up with those for you. So even if you wanted to take it a step further to just have AI do the work of even knowing what to put into Gigabrain, I think that's another kind of little prompting hack that I always recommend.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff. Why don't we move on to another one of my favorite tools, but an insanely powerful tool in deep research. Now, I think it's funny because at the start of the year, people were saying like, oh, by the end of 2025 or like within 12 months time, 50% of what a strategist does is going to be done by AI agents. I think that deep research does 50% of a strategist's work today.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if you think about, to Alex's point, so much of creating really effective ads is doing the legwork before to understand your customer, understand the words that they use, understand just everything about that brand. Like, you need to become a customer of the product that you're advertising in order to truly be able to create ads that people are going to take action from. And deep research, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful ways to be able to conduct research now for a specific target audience or customer base or whatever you're looking for. If you're not familiar with what deep research is, it's OpenAI's version of a model that's going to take a long time to think and process and search the website and look through blogs and just everything that's available. So a typical prompt that you give deep research could take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. So it's literally just going to sit there and go back and forth and visit different websites to make sure that it's answering all the questions that you asked in the prompt, or just make sure it's giving you this full in-depth report. So another, like I kind of talked about with Alex and Gigabrain, I strongly recommend just going into ChatGPT, especially 4.5. That's one that's a little more creative, and telling it to come up with a prompt for you for deep research to really break down that customer analysis and also the psychoanalytical profile of the customer. Because again, all you're trying to do for creating effective ads is to just deeply understand the customer. So I told it to think through every possible reason why someone would buy, why they wouldn't buy, who exactly we should be targeting, the pain points that they're feeling, the feeling that they get when they hit purchase, like all of those things that are so important for ads. And before I dive into the actual content, I mean, just like look at how long. First, this is the prompt that it came up with. I went and just copied this prompt right here, as you can see, and just look at the length of this research. So again, it took 8 minutes to complete. It went through 22 different sources. And just look at the length. Like this is all, and we'll dive into the actual content. But normal AI models are not able to give this much information, and that's what makes deep research so powerful. Is you're not just going to kind of get like the summary version of everything. Like you're going to get the very specific line by line information that it's able to find. So let's look at like even some of this, to Alex's point of like finding those gold nuggets. This does a really good job of just getting you to the point at which you're going to know everything, in this case around the perfect gene and why people are going to buy. In short, TPJ appeals to a fundamental human motivator, swapping pain for pleasure, or at least for soft, flexible denim that literally feels as soft as a baby's bottom. Like, again, that is a great headline right there. Style without sacrifice, humor and brand connection. If you've seen any of their ads, you know that they like to have a lot of fun with those. And I could just go on and on. So common customer pain points, as you can see, physical discomfort and restriction, poor fit for certain body types. Like this is all what it's finding on the internet, which again is all very true. So I especially think if you're an agency, or if you're new to a company, or if you're trying to expand it for a new product, use deep research to just get that fundamental knowledge of who you're going to be targeting, so you know the messaging that is most likely going to resonate with those people beforehand.
Yeah, and that's like scary powerful on a one shot. Like imagine if you'd taken the time to go and develop it and ask for like more of what you wanted or go into the detail.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about here, like the hardest part of creative strategy is the boring, unsexy work that no one wants to do. Is the research, is the most difficult part. And like that's where you're going to find, like that's where you're going to do the legwork to create winning ads. And if this thing can come in and do 60% of that legwork, 70% of that legwork, like that's what would you pay for it to cut out 60% of your creative strategy process? So it makes the $200 a month investment like well worth it, and something that we use a lot at Create Internally.
Yeah, totally. And I think again the thing to realize is like that even the prompt that I gave it was still surface level. Like you can get very specific. Like one thing that I've done in the past is using deep research to start to find those gold nugget headlines that exist. And I told it to study Alex Goff Cooper's YouTube channel. Can't mix it up with the other Alex Cooper, but Alex Goff Cooper. And it will go through and look at all of his content and be able to then find what he's talked about already when looking for those gold nuggets. So you're almost going to teach it the ins and outs of creative strategy and exactly how Alex thinks and the words that he uses. So you don't have to put that in the prompt. Like you can just say, by the way, I want you to research Alex Goff Cooper's creative process to understand the exact types of headlines that we're going for or the exact types of ads that we're going for. Because again, ChatGPT is very smart, but not about specific industries. And it's not good at creative strategy and performance marketing unless you give it the information. And if you add in that little prompt, it does do wonders for the outputs.
Yeah, absolutely. And very easily confused with Alex Cooper. From Call Her Daddy, maybe less so since I got rid of the blonde hair and dyed it brunette. But anyway, GPT becomes even more powerful when it starts to learn about your brand. So like now, whenever I'm doing prompting for a client and I'm going through a long conversation and I want it to reference certain parts of that conversation in future, if I'm doing a research, like a bit of research for a brand in my creative strategy, I'll just go, remember this for next time. Remember, like save this into the memory. And next time I go, like I have everything there ready to go. It has all the content of my brand. I can just start typing away and getting it to give me my ideas on my scripts. And it comes like super, super powerful when you combine that with like actually not just one shot and developing the prompts.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll transition a little bit just for context of ChatGPT. The reason why we're not going to spend more time in it as just like an overall ecosystem is we actually prefer Claude for writing purposes. But the one thing that ChatGPT has is deep research, and that's why we really wanted to show this and then transition to Claude, which is more suited for thinking of headlines or writing scripts. And so dive into how we're using Claude.
Yeah, well, before we do that, if you are interested in like more ChatGPT knowledge, there is a ton of it on the channel. I will link a couple of videos in the description. So there is more than enough content to keep you going on why you should use ChatGPT and how to get the most out of it. But as Jimmy said, we do prefer Claude, at least when it comes to copywriting and creative thinking. I think it's a toss-up when you talk about like reasoning and processing data. Like if I was to give Claude and GPT a bunch of reviews and ask it to pick out the best headlines, I'd probably go Claude, but I'm less partial. But if it's like writing a script, it's Claude all the way, at least as we're filming today. It is the strongest LLM at that.
Yeah, and one thing too to monitor. Alex and I have this idea of often when a new model is released, you'll hear about benchmarks for performance and all of these things, and often that's around like reasoning or science or math, which isn't very applicable to performance marketing. So Alex did come out with a sort of equation, if you will, I guess his maybe biases on which models he prefers for different tasks. And we'll link that tweet that you put out in the comments or in the description below. But that's a good reference if you want to stay in the loop for anyone that's listening to just how new models impact how you should be using or which ones you should be using for creative strategy. Keep a tab on that, because that one just breaks down the strengths and weaknesses of the models, what we like using each model for, to kind of give you like that overall view of how we view large language model ecosystem.
Because it does change over time.
It does.
Like I remember when Gemini 2.0 first came out, we were both like super pumped about it because it was a massive copywriting improvement on Gemini 1.5. And I don't know what happened. Over time, it just seemed to regress. And now I'd actually rank it below GPT. I'd put GPT 4.01 and 4.5 above all the Gemini models, unfortunately, for Gemini. So it can change, and it's always good to test and retest. Like, it really doesn't take a lot of time. If you're putting a prompt into Claude or you're putting a prompt into GPT, just put them into the other models and see, because there are certain LLMs that are suited better for certain tasks, and that changes over time.
Yeah, and a fun fact, we actually created an AI agent that does just what Alex said. So you just throw in one prompt, and we're going to give you the output of all the different popular models that exist. If you didn't know, Alex and I recently launched a store where we are selling AI agents for creative strategists. Again, if you know Alex, you know he's in the weeds of this, and we've built some different AI agent templates that you can buy and start to use right away. So check out the link there to see what we're up to.
Nice plug. So let's move on to Claude, as we were talking about it. Claude is the tool that I write all of our scripts with, and all of our team write all of our scripts with inside of AdCreate. And I think there is a bit of a misconception when it comes to like large language models and AI in general when it comes to script writing, because people just think that they can one-shot a script. And even if you're very, very good at prompting, it is very difficult to one-shot a good ad script. And most people just put it in there, they'll give it customer reviews, they'll give it an idea, and they'll say, go and write this script. And then it won't come out well, inevitably. And they'll go, oh, okay, well, Claude doesn't work, or GPT doesn't work. I'm just gonna go and write it manually. When in reality, the way that we should be looking at these tools is, this is gonna get me 80% of the way there, 70% of the way there. And if I know that, and I just like use my actual creative strategy expertise to take it from 80% to 100%, and I just look at it and go, right, this has managed to cut out 80% of my work, like that's a major, major win. So that's how I'm gonna show you how we use Claude. So I just first gave it some context about the Perfect Gene, which is the brand that we were writing a script for here. I ran it through a research prompt and gave it to Claude just so it's got context. Claude doesn't currently have baked in memory like GPT, so I just have for each of our brands like a default research prompt that I put through either Claude or GPT, and then add this into Claude at the start of my prompt, just in case. And then we can go down and give it the customer reviews. Now, what most people do at this point is just say something like, right, you've got my customer reviews, now write a script. I like to kind of warm it up by getting it to do a lot of different tasks before I go into that point, just so it's got more context and I can give it feedback. So it has like a lot of knowledge on the brand before it actually gets into the script. The first thing I like to do is say, generate personas based on all the information above for the Perfect Gene. And for each of these, I've said this is what I want. I want demographics, psychographics, trigger words, and awareness levels. And I mean, everyone looks at demographics and psychographics when it comes to awareness levels. I think trigger events are significantly underutilized by creative strategists, because if you know what the specific and detailed trigger events are that actually led people to purchase, that is an insanely valuable piece of information. Actually, I probably should rewrite this prompt and make that clearer to the large language model. It's a question that we put in all of our post-purchase surveys. It is something that I spend a lot of time brainstorming with the team, like how can we try and work out what are the actual reasons, or like what are the events in someone's life that led them to go and buy a pair of Perfect Jeans. So we do that, and awareness levels as well, because I mean, again, something that doesn't get considered by a lot of brands. You would advertise to someone who is unaware very differently to someone who is solution aware in your strategy. Moving on, I then gave Claude a prompt asking it to come up with static headlines. It's one of my favorite prompts to use when giving customer reviews. Most people really overcomplicate it when it comes to static ads. In many cases, a lot of our winners have been through taking the exact words and phrases. Shock, it goes back to the things we said at the start of the video with Reddit, taking the exact words and phrases that our customers are using and just putting it back, like saying it back to them in static ads and in our ad scripts. So I want to talk through this prompt because this is an important point. We can sit here and go through all the tools today. I think the most important thing that I want people to get out of this video is like how important it is to learn prompt engineering as a creative strategist today. Because you can have all the access to the tools, you can have the deep research, you can have the Claudes, you can have the, all the other tools that we're going to look into shortly. If you're not good at prompting, you don't know how to reverse engineer a good output out of a large language model, it does not matter. And I would argue, besides copywriting, it is the number one skill that creative strategists should be learning today.
Yeah, to just echo that, when you think about it, the advantage of being a really good creative strategist is you are able to easily determine what is a good output that Claude or ChatGPT gives you versus what a bad one is, which if you take your average creative strategist, they might not be as good as that. And so it should be your entire job to figure out how to get AI to give you solid outputs on a consistent basis. And that is how you scale yourself. That's how you either get to, work 3 hours a week and have AI do 85% of your work, and all you're doing is kind of managing to determine which outputs are really good or which ones are not good. Or, if you're an agency, if you're trying to scale more and more, that is the answer to it, is you have to figure out how to talk to these models and get them to give you very solid outputs without spending more time trying to talk with these models like ChatGPT or Claude than just doing it manually. And that is like the number one skill that creative strategists need to have in 2025 and moving forward.
So let's take a look at what that actually looks like in practice. We've given the reviews to Claude here, and I've said, look through all these customer reviews and find first-person testimonials that are most suitable for a Facebook ad headline. A lot of people may just leave this here, and you know what? Claude would probably go and find some good headlines from it. But if you really want to maximize the efficiency and give Claude the best chance of finding good headlines or achieving whatever it is that you're trying to get it to achieve through your prompts, we want to give it more context. So what I love to do is give good and bad examples of what I want the end output to be, and not just give good and bad examples, but explain why. So what I found when I was putting this prompt through GPT and through Claude, it was giving me a lot of headlines that were not relevant to someone who does not know or care about the brand. Now, we are running ads at the top of funnel. They are direct response ads designed to get someone to convert. And if we have headlines that are generic and are not relevant to someone who does not know or care about the perfect gene, people are going to keep on scrolling. So I added that into my prompt. I said, it should not be long, but it should use the customer's language. The reviews you pick must be relevant to someone who does not know or care about the brand, has zero context. Now, what I should have done here, and what June does very well, is shout at the model. When something is really important, put it in caps and make it very, very clear, because it does consider that stuff when it is reading your prompt. Then I went on to say, here's an example. For an anti-dandruff shampoo brand, a good headline would be the only shampoo that ended my dandruff battle. And I gave the reason why, because if I know the brand or if I don't, this is relevant for me if I have the problem of dandruff. And I said a bad headline example would be, I'm super picky and these guys hit it out of the park from A to Z. Because if I don't know this brand, it doesn't talk about why it's relevant to me as someone who doesn't care. So I'm saying, here's a task and here's the parameters, and now here's a good and bad example of what your output should be. And at least in our testing across a lot of ad scripts and a lot of prompts in general, that tends to be a better framework than just saying, look, here is some customer reviews, go and find the best headlines.
Yeah, and if you just want like a generic prompt template to follow, what I strongly recommend, and is kind of summarizing what Alex has said, is first just tell it exactly what you're looking for in the most concise and specific format possible, and then give it examples of what you like in the past and what you don't like. And explain why they're good or why they're bad. And then something that I like to do is kind of called context dumping, which is just like go and take like a internal doc that you have on how to create static ads. And at the bottom of the prompt, just say, for context, this is what you need to know about writing headlines or creating static ads or whatever. And you just paste it there. Regardless of the format, it's just kind of giving it that information. Another great strategy is like go on YouTube, go to one of Alex's videos, copy the transcript, and then again say like, for context, this is a video on how to create better static ads, and I want you to follow a similar process or use the examples that he mentioned in that video, because you have to understand in context learning for these models is very, very important. You need to, in a prompt, try to get it to understand the performance marketing world and the types of ads that are used in this bubble and more, which is not generic information to the public that ChatGPT or Claude has been trained on. So you need to kind of do like mini training, if you will, with that context to help it get even better results too. So that's just like a quick, easy kind of three checklist, if you will, for how to use a prompt to try to get the best outputs.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you can always just use ChatGPT and ask it like, what am I missing here, or how can I get the output I want? Or once you get an output that you want, then go to GPT and say, if I wanted to get this output, what is the prompt I would have had to use?
Yeah.
So like kind of just reverse engineer it. And one other like little tidbit that I sometimes use, I'm also used on GPT than Claude, because Claude doesn't seem to have this issue as much. I just say like, before giving me an answer, is there any additional context that you need to know to give me the best answer to this question? Because ChatGPT doesn't know what it needs to know to answer the question to the best of its ability. Prompt engineering could be a whole video in itself. We could spend so long on it. It's so fun, but it's also so valuable to people to learn, whether you're a creative strategist or not, but especially if you are a creative strategist in today's landscape. Yeah.
One other thing about Claude too, just to touch on, is you also can have Claude projects, which is really important. So Claude projects are similar to custom GPTs, and really what that allows you to do is create like custom Claudes, if you will, for whatever task or writing assignment. So you could have a custom Claude for each of the different brands or products that you have, and that just allows you to not have to like kind of reprompt every single time or give it like context or information about that specific product or anything along those lines. You could just have a bunch of different custom Claude projects that are just very trained on one specific brand or product, and that will save you some time as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I put this prompt through, and again, like, by no means is this a perfect prompt. It could be improved, but that's what I do. Like I literally, once I've got a prompt to this point, I will take it and I'll put it in my prompting library, which, by the way, I would very much recommend if you're a creative strategist. Build yourself a prompting library, so whenever you go to write a new prompt, or you're ever going to do some new analysis or some new strategy inside of GPT or Claude, you can just go straight to your prompting library. You can copy and paste, and you have the thing ready to go. It's so valuable. I can't tell you how much time this has saved me since we put this in place. So yeah, and then not to say that like once this has been done, like you can never improve on it. We're always trying to iterate on and improve. Like I said, the LLM was giving me bad responses previously, and it was giving me responses that were not relevant to someone who doesn't know or care about the brand. So I iterated on the prompt and I made a better version of it. And I'll keep on doing that until I can get to the point where it gives me great headlines every single time, if that is even possible. But to be fair, I'm pretty impressed with what it's come out here. Finally found jeans that fit my muscular legs without being baggy at the waist. That is a good headline for the perfect jean. This one might be even better, actually. The most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I didn't want to take them off. Like, I would run that as a headline for the perfect jean. And this is just, again, on a one shot of this prompt, without me going in and say, give me more like number one, or like, give me more, like, I really want to focus on the angle of selling to big guys. So give me 5 headlines around the angle of big guys. So yeah, this is what happens. Like, this is the power of giving it a task and then giving it like actual context with examples of good and bad outputs and why they are good and bad outputs.
Yeah.
Not too much else I want to show you here. I mean, and then I went in and said, like, go and do some ideation work. So like, this is like, now we're in a place where we've given it a lot of context. We've given a lot of examples of what is good and bad. So I feel more confident about giving it a harder task, like, go and come up with some ad ideas or some ad hooks or start writing ad scripts. These ideas were okay, but they could have been improved. If I had more time here, I would have gone to work on these and gone back and forth with Claude to get it to a place where I was happy with it. But this one, I mean, watch me try to squat in regular jeans. Now watch this. this is why guys are switching to the perfect gene. So I didn't like that. I said, give me more suggestions, but just focus on the problem. And they gave me a pretty decent like thigh prison hook. And then I said, again, take this first hook idea and generate me a 30 to 45 second script. And then I gave it the parameters as we did for the static headlines, but just this time for video. So I said things like, use a PS framework, highlight the key benefits, keep it in line with the perfect gene tone and voice. Which is very important, by the way. Like, a lot of times people don't like the output from an LLM because it doesn't sound like their brand, but like you also haven't told it what your brand sounds like. So yeah, and the script was okay, but I could have gone and developed this a lot more if I wanted to. And what I actually do when I am developing scripts inside of Claude is once I get the first version of it, I will go down line by line and just basically ask myself, do I want to keep this? Do I want to throw it, or do I want to slightly modify it? And I will go down line by line and I'll say to Claude, like, keep this first line. This second line, I don't really like the way it flows into the next one. Give me 3 suggestions as to like for a more natural segue. And I just keep doing that until I get to the end of the script, and then you've got a script that you're happy with. And once again, like, this isn't going to come in and you press a magic button and it gets you a perfect script. But if I do that and it gives me 7 lines I'm happy with and 5 that I have to modify, and I cut down my script writing time from 1 hour to 30 minutes, major win.
Yeah, 100%. Again, this is all just about finding, if you can, almost like death by 1,000 paper cuts strategy of like, if you can just find the areas where you can save 15, 20, 30 minutes a week, that that in research or in script writing or in creating briefs, like whatever it might be that you're using this for, that's going to add up over time, and you are going to become significantly more efficient than you are today.
Love it. Jimmy, let's take a look at the next tool. One that I know you get pumped up about. Yeah. Let's talk Gemini.
Yeah. I've been on the Google AI Studio. Google AI Studio obviously is from Google. Gemini is also within their ecosystem, but this is more for the developers. And I know this right here looks a little overwhelming, but don't worry, I'll break it down. It's a lot easier than it seems, and more simple than it seems. But I've been on Google AI Studio for a long time, and the reason is because most people have no idea that you can actually upload video files. And so right here, I just uploaded 3 ads. I know that these ads are winners, and it will actually look frame by frame at what is happening in this video ad. It can get the transcript, it can get the audio as well. So it's the only large language model that has this capability of where it takes a frame per second so it can actually see what is happening in that ad. Now, there are tons of use cases that you could use. I mean, this is really like unlocking the ability to have ChatGPT for specific video ads. But some of like the popular ones that we have used quite a bit are things like find patterns that humans may miss on why these ads performed well. We are expert creative strategists, so go extremely granular and deep. And again, it's going to look for those different patterns of why these ads may have performed well. So that's really helpful, especially when you're brainstorming. I could have had that prompt be much better too, of just look at the psychology, think about it from an underlying motives perspective. All of these different things, you can get Google AI Studio to go very, very deep on all of this. Another great one that you can use too is you could essentially ask it to find any typos or grammar errors that exist within the video. You could ask it to look for potential copyright issues, if there are any logos or sounds that could be flagged as trademark or copyright, and much more. I mean, again, like this is kind of back to that ChatGPT ability to just watch and talk with these video ads.
Absolutely. And if you do want access to our AI Studio prompt cheat sheet that has all of the prompts that Jimmy just mentioned and a bunch of other ones, because like you said, like the possibilities here are really limitless. I'm surprised that there are not more creative strategists who use Gemini, whether it's like lack of knowledge of its power or just like not wanting to use it. is a very useful tool when used correctly. So we've got ideas here for, analyzing top performing ads. You could also give it ads that haven't worked and say, look at the winners and the losers and tell me what the winners do that the losers don't. You could get it to look at organic videos as well. So videos in your niche that have done well. What about these high performing organic videos contributed to their success, and how can we use that in our strategy? So many ideas here: competitor analysis, cultural references, so many ideas. If you want to access this sheet, link in the description. There should be a email sign up where you can go and get access to this for free today.
Yeah, and one other use case about Google AI Studio that most people don't realize either is the context window is significantly larger than ChatGPT or Claude. So context window, if you're newer to the AI space, is essentially how much information / data you can give a model. So like when you're typing something into ChatGPT, how much context you can give it. So if you're uploading a PDF, if you're uploading a CSV file, if you're uploading a ton of text, how much of that is essentially what the context window is. And I think ChatGPT is like 250,000 tokens, and Gemini's is like 2 million. So it's significantly larger. So if you have a lot of data, if you have a ton of ad scripts, if you have a lot of performance data from Meta, I would strongly recommend using that within Google AI Studio, because it's going to be able to see more of it. Even customer reviews, if you're in the tens of thousands, again, Google AI Studio, Gemini is able to just see a lot more. So that's another reason why I'm very bullish on Google AI Studio as well.
Yeah, and to anyone like who is new to context windows, like what does 2 million tokens actually mean? Like, is that like a...
Yeah, I mean, so like for context, we had a 75-page document on all things creative strategy, and that took about, I think it was about 40,000 tokens. So 2 million is like you're talking about pages, like this could be something where it's hundreds of pages of a PDF or insane amounts of data. So it's super powerful. You're not going to run out of those tokens, because every time that you continue it with that conversation, if you're in Claude or ChatGPT, like that counts towards that max limit that you have. And so Google, you can go much longer and continue on the conversation more than you can with the other tools.
Do you know why? Just out of interest, why they've got such a larger context window than everyone else?
Yeah, the main reason why is because ChatGPT is obviously started by OpenAI. OpenAI is a startup, and obviously they have raised a lot of money. They have a product that is making a lot of money too, but Google is just such a legacy player. Their pockets are so deep that they can afford to not have these, to not be profitable right away or even close to being profitable, because all they want to do is try to win the AI race. And so they're trying to find all the different ways to have a leg up on what other companies are doing, like Claude or ChatGPT, and so they're just, I can't imagine how many tokens they're burning through every month.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at our next tool, which is a tool that I have been liking the more that I use it. I started using it a few months ago when you put me onto this tool. It's called Poppy. So Poppy is what we call an AI wrapper, where it takes the different LLMs and it allows you to build on top of them. What Poppy is good at is allowing you to add context that is sometimes difficult or time consuming to add through like a Claude or a GPT. So if I go inside this platform, as you can see, it's a very visual, like mind map based, mind map type platform. I can go and add in my chat here, and I can see I've got the different models that I can choose from. And this is just going to function the same that Claude 3.7 or 03 mini or 4.0 would. You can choose any model that you want inside of here. But what you can do is you can pull in context from different inputs. For example, I could go to my YouTube channel and I could just take a YouTube video link. And whereas I couldn't actually like natively inside of Claude pull this in and say, have a look at this and break it down for me, I can just go into Poppy and I can add the video. It's going to transcribe it in a few seconds. I can connect it here and I can say, write up a summary of this YouTube video in one page. And there you go. it's given me a full summary of my own YouTube video, which, by the way, I have used this to repurpose content, and it's great. If anyone does make content, like Poppy is unbelievable. I use it to write all of my newsletters and a lot of my LinkedIn posts. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. It's given me a summary of my my YouTube video. So how can we apply this to the ads world? Well, what I've done is I've built what we call like we call it a copycat agent, where we can take ads that we like online and get Poppy to recreate them through the different models for our brand. So this is how I set it up. I like to use groups inside of Poppy. You don't have to use groups, but I just find it keeps it a little cleaner. By the way, what I should have mentioned is a different input. So I use a YouTube video, but you can easily upload a TikTok, an Instagram reel. You can do just text. You can pull in a website. You can pull in documents if you've got PDFs. You can upload custom videos as well. And you can also, one of my favorites, start recording a voice message. So you can pull all this context in, and then you can say, you could start recording and just say, hey, by the way, like I run a brand called The Perfect Gene. We target people who are, guys 30 to 55, and we really want to hone in on the bigger guy angle this year. So that's what I'm giving to you, Poppy. And then I just do that, and it would easily go and understand that and take that into account. So what I've built on this board for Poppy is the flow that's allowed me to recreate static or video ads really. I started off by giving it a knowledge base. As Jimmy said earlier, when it comes to prompting, you really want to teach the AI, do what you can to teach the AI to understand what a good output is. Claude or GPT are incredible tools. They are not good creative strategists if they have no context. So what I did was I created a document that's just basically about how to make great static ads on Facebook and Meta. And fun fact, I actually made this by transcribing one of my YouTube videos on Poppy. So you can just go into Poppy, you can put my statics YouTube video, which I'll put on the screen now, and you can say, make a one-page document about this like we just did a minute ago, and you can upload that document into Poppy for every single Poppy board that you create now and forever, and it's got automatic context of what a great static ad is. So that's our knowledge base sorted. Then I give it context of my brand. So as you can see here, I have uploaded the website, or I've put in the website for The Perfect Gene. I've also put in the product page. I don't think Poppy will go and scrape the entire website if you just give it if you just give it one page. So I just to be safe, I put in the website and the product page for the product I'm advertising. And here I put in some text. I have a default prompt in my prompt library that just conducts some research on a brand in ChatGPT. And just to be safe, just so I feel like my tools have got all the context they need, I like to paste this into every single prompt on every platform that I use because it gives me peace of mind. It's just a very quick overview of benefits, pain points, features, objections, and failed solutions. So nothing crazy, but it does tell this Poppy board exactly what my brand is. And again, the great thing about this is once I've set this up, I can use this for every Poppy board that I have in the future. So we've given it the knowledge base, we've given it the context. Now let's give it the task. I have pulled in a static template that I found. I can't remember where I found this. It was either somewhere on Foreplay, so from one brand's ad library. And I can just drag that ad into my Poppy board, connect it, which is a very important point that I should have mentioned actually. If you don't want the Poppy chat to understand or take into account a piece of information, then just don't connect it. If you do want it to take into account, connect it by just dragging this node here. And now we can start prompting. It's got all of this context. Now, what I actually like to do first is I just type into Poppy, into Claude 3.7, what can you see? I just want to make sure that it has everything in it. Once again, this gives me peace of mind. You don't have to do it. It's never not given me what I wanted. But I just like to do it just so I know that when I am typing this in, it's considering everything. Okay, so if I make this full screen, it can see 1, 2, and 3. So it can see everything that we can see, which is great. Now I'm going to say now with all the context about how to make great ads and my brand, rewrite the static example headline for the perfect gene, for my brand. I'm going to see what it comes up with. If I was being smart, I would have just used the prompt that I have preloaded into this Poppy board, but I clearly am not. What I should do here is I should say, I want you to give me the main idea first, and then give alternate headline ideas below, because like just as we would if we're using Claude or GPT normally, it's probably not going to give you a perfect idea every single time. If it just gives one idea, we want it to give multiple, and then we can choose which one is the best of those. So let's have a look here. We have, my thighs were prisoners until these genes set them free. Nice emotive language. I squatted in jeans and lived to tell about it. Thick thighs deserve comfortable jeans too, and jeans that don't make you choose between comfort and style. We've got some good emotive headlines here. And I do think that that is partially because of the fact that we gave it context on how to write great static headlines in the knowledge base at the top here. So I could just go and pick one of these headlines or pick multiple of these headlines and put it in a brief and send it over to my designer with this example. And like, there we go. We've got a static brief ready to go in just a couple of minutes. And like I said, the great thing about this board is now I've got it set up. Anytime I see anything on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Foreplay, in an ad library, I can just go into my board, drag and drop it in here, and I can go and recreate that static brief instantly. If I was like taking this to the next level, I could now package like a static brief, and I could have inside of the prompt, I could say like turn this into a static brief for my brand, or maybe I could do that as a development of the prompts. But either way, like super quickly, we can have a lot of static briefs ready just by giving this board the example. Now, if you want to take it one step further than this, you would do what Jimmy's done. Let me show you what he sent over to me a couple of weeks ago. We built a static board of, I think there's 150 statics 150, here, yep. Which is pretty insane. And you can literally just do exactly what we did, but just at scale. So you can pick any of these statics that have been pulled from ad libraries all over the internet, drag them, or drag the node to connect them to Poppy, connect in information about your brand, and then you can recreate that static, or that static brief instantly. So as you can see here, Jimmy's done this for the perfect gene. He's pulled in the perfect gene website. He's pulled in some reviews from external sites, and you can once again pull in anything. You can pull in TikToks, you can pull in YouTube videos, you can pull in Instagram reels, you can pull in text. Reviews. Customer reviews is a great one too. So you can pull in everything into this thing, connect the static that you want to make, and it will have it done like with good headlines because it's being wrote by Claude or GPT, but I would suggest Claude instantly. So this is an insanely powerful board, and actually I believe we put it up for sale. It is as of the time of recording, ready for you to go and buy on or in the link in the description, which is actually a good segue into like we should talk about some of the agents that we've been building, because I do think that a lot of the AI agents that you see out there today are more so built by SaaS founders or developers who don't really have an idea of creative strategy, or they do, but it's just not as strong as a traditional creative strategist was. So what Jimmy and I have decided to do in this board and a load of other AI agents that you'll see if you click the link in the description is build agents that are by creative strategists for creative strategists, like by people who actually do this stuff every single day and are in the trenches actively. So that you know that when you're using this, you don't have to go and add additional content. You don't have to go and like tweak it for yourself, because it's been built by people who are actually using these boards to make ads, rather than people who are building tools just to sell them to you.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've had this conversation, but this is for the viewer out there. I'm not lying when I tell you that within the next 2 to 3 years, a marketing team, a creative operation team is going to maybe have 1 or 2 people and hundreds of AI agents underneath them that do different tasks. And the odds are they're probably all going to be interconnected as well. So they're going to be able to work with one another and feed information from one agent to the next. And that is the reality of this world. So for any creative strategist out there that isn't fully in on AI yet, like please let this just be the warning video, if you will, that this space is going to move so incredibly fast. And so that's really what Alex and I have wanted to do, is like, we want to be the people that are the voice here, that aren't going to make it so creative strategists are surprised that when this happens, but we want to show you the exact way to do this yourself. We don't want to gatekeep anything. We just want to show you, we're able to work with companies to essentially build these unified systems as well as selling these agents, because we just want to get this stuff in your hands so you can start to play around with it, introduce it to your team, introduce it to the whole just creative ops ecosystem, because I think it's just going to push this space forward faster and faster than any of us will be able to imagine.
It really will, and I truly believe that. So if you are interested in trying our AI agents, the Poppy board is one of them. There are some pretty straightforward ones. There are some also pretty cool, complex ones that we're building.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the pipeline. So click the link in the description to check them out today. Anyway, that is pretty much it on Poppy. Unless there's anything you want to add on Poppy, Jimmy?
The only other thing that I would say is one thing about Poppy is you can share a board with other team members too. So I think like the evolution is you kind of go from like the generic ChatGPT Claude, which is usually siloed individuals using it in certain use cases. It's harder to share across different team members. But Poppy, you can actually share a Poppy board with other people part of your team. So if you wanted to share that with the CMO and the graphic designer that's going to actually edit, like all of them can see that Poppy board, all of them can use it. So you're starting to get this kind of coherence of people using the same AI tools together, which is very, very important for any company that is trying to implement AI. So that's the only thing, is like we kind of went from level 1, which is individual tools, to then this next level, which is like starting to have some more interconnectedness between team members.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move forward to our final tool of the day, the big one. This one is slightly more advanced than the tools we've covered so far, but it does allow you to build some really powerful AI workflows. So Jimmy, why don't you talk us through Gumloop?
Yeah. So Gumloop, if we kind of take Poppy's, like you can share, you can all kind of work together. Gumloop is probably that next level above, where it's actual workflows that AI is automating and being able to do. So this is the homepage. I think it does a pretty good job of just showing the generic interface. It's very Miro-esque level, but there's a ton of different nodes, which are just kind of the different components to build an AI workflow. You can connect them together in a very easy drag system similar to Poppy, and then you get to run that. So Gumloop, very high level. Really what it allows you to do is just start to connect different apps together. So you could go from Reddit to a Google Doc to then a Slack message, and you can pull in, you can create webhooks, which means it can get content automatically without you even having to start. So honestly, like this is very much so a canvas, meaning the more creative that you are in how you learn how to use Gumloop, the better and more value you're going to get out of it. So I'm just going to kind of keep this high level. I won't get too into the weeds of like how to do all this. I can just show you how to build a pretty generic workflow. So let's just say every node is going to start with what is called the input, and that's just kind of what's going to be the thing that triggers this workflow. So let's just say here we wanted this to be like a Facebook. Let's just say you wanted to figure out how to scrape a Facebook library. So the input name, we would say the Facebook URL of the brand. So that right there is going to then be the output of this node. And so if we go and if we grab the let's just keep it on going with the perfect gene, we went and found their Facebook page, not even their ad library or ID or anything along those lines, just the public Facebook page. That is what is going to be the thing that starts this node. Now, the cool thing about Gumloop that I really like and why I'm such a big advocate of it is it just makes it really easy. Like you don't need to know how to code. They already have a meta node here, and so this is what's going to allow it to be a really easy way to to be able to scrape this ad account. So now, similar to Poppy, we're just going to drag that output, which again we put as their URL, and that is what this input right here needs. So it needs the page URL. So that is how we are connecting the two nodes together. Now let's just say that we wanted to scrape videos. We'd come here. We'd select videos. Fun fact about Gumloop 2, images and memes, I don't know how they categorize these, but always select this if you want static ads. I think they just categorize memes as any image with like text on it, which obviously a lot of, if not a majority of static ads have text. So always just do images and memes if you want to scrape those, but in this case let's just go with videos. This is where you're going to select the number of video ads that you want to scrape. So I mean, you could put 1,000 here if you wanted for a brand, but we're just going to keep it with 10, which is the minimum. And then this is the most important thing. You want to go the ad media URLs, and the reason why is because they have a video analyzer node. So if you remember when we were showing you how to use Google AI Studio, this is Google AI Studio essentially in a node, which again is the different components of building a workflow. And if you just go here to toggle yes to using a link, that is now going to be the video link. So that's why we needed to choose add media URLs. And now we're going to video link. So just like that, you then can enter in a prompt of scrape these video ads and give us the exact transcript. If I were to run this, it would then go and scrape the 10 ads from the perfect gene, and we would get that. And let's just say that we wanted that to then get sent to Slack. We could do a message sender right here, and it could take that analysis of all 10 and send a Slack message. So that's what's really cool about Gumloop. This is, again, a very high level overview of what it looks like to build something. You can get way more complex, but that's what's so cool about Gumloop is they have all these different integrations. They have Slack, they have Notion, they have Google Docs. They also are really working on this thing called Ask Gummy, which soon enough, Gummy is going to be able to build some of these nodes for you and workflows for you, which is really, really cool. When I was first learning Gumloop, I came here and I spent a lot of time just asking Gummy all the different questions of how to get things to work. And it's their AI assistant that just kind of holds your hand as you're starting to learn. So yeah, again, the reason why this is so powerful is because you can just do so much research. You can do so much integrations with different tools, Reddit, Facebook ads. The interface is also a huge component of this. So let's just say that you wanted to share this with team members that didn't know how to use AI. You can actually add an interface. So instead of just seeing this input, you would replace that with this interface, and eventually it could get to something where you could just share. So like, for example, let's see here. Let me grab this link. So you could see an interface that looked more like this. So much more aesthetically pleasing. All this one would require is you entering your email and the URL of the brand that you want video script ideas for. So this is a separate one, but again, like this is what someone could see instead of having to see the whole workflow view, which is this, insanely complex workflow that I've been working on. So that's the other great thing about Gumloop is even if your team isn't necessarily technical or going to be able to learn how to use Gumloop, you can make it so it's as simple as this to get the outputs that the workflow provides.
Yeah, I mean that's huge because like as someone like who's non-technical, like it's intimidating the first time you look at the Gumloop UI.
Yeah.
If you're not used to building things like that, I do think that when Gummy gets a little stronger, it's going to be very powerful. For people to just like no code. Well, it's no code anyway, but like truly no code.
Right.
Build Gumloop workflows. But there are a lot of people on your team who will not want anything to do with that current workflow builder. So just be able to build an interface like that makes it a lot more digestible, where I can not worry how this is put together. I can just input whatever my input is, customer reviews or an ad, and I can just press run and it gives me an output, and it's super simple.
Yep. And to kind of go back to the point that we had been making earlier, this is another one of those things where if you're a creative strategist and you learn Gumloop or you learn another automation platform, it's gonna just allow you to continue to scale yourself, which that's always been the hardest thing. And obviously, the more that you can scale yourself, the more you can help other companies. And so, like, the most sought after job in 2025 and 2026 will be someone that understands creative strategy, is really good at creative strategy. They also understand how to prompt, and they understand how to use a tool like Gumloop. Like that right there is by far the most valuable position in e-commerce, in maybe creative operations in 2025. And with that, and we won't be the only one, but hopefully we're the best one. We are looking for people that are very good creative strategists, and we will teach you how to use Gumloop. We will teach you how to prompt, but we just want people that are hungry, who are creative strategists that want to know about AI and want to learn about AI and become an expert in this space. And we just want to pour into you and have you work on some really cool projects, because we're trying to scale this ourselves, and it's not easy. So we're looking for those people out there. So we'll throw a job description in the overview or description of the video. So if you are hungry, you want to go all in at a very fun, fast-paced startup, make sure you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that, we're good to wrap on the final tool. I will leave with some closing wisdom, and by closing wisdom, I mean a closing meme. This is something that I saw on Twitter recently, and I thought it was funny, but it's also true. It's the Rick Rubin meme. It says, "Can I code? No. Can I design? No. I have no technical ability. I know nothing about software, but I know how to prompt." I think that is very, very true for creative strategists in 2025.
Learn how to prompt, learn Gumloop, you'll be good.
Absolutely. So if you have enjoyed anything that Jim and I have spoke about today, check out some of our agents. We have a lot that we are working on right now that you can use today to make more and better winning ads inside your ad account. We have things like the ad comment scraper that goes and scrapes all your Facebook ad comments, which took us a lot of man hours and a lot of money to try and work out, but we've managed to crack that. We've got an organic TikTok scraper whereby you can scrape TikTok for all of the relevant posts about your product or your pain point, and it even goes and writes scripts and does analysis off the back of that, and many, many other things that we're working on, some huge projects. So check them out, go and try them today, and you'll be able to ship more winning ads instantly.
Yeah, man.
Love it. Well, dude, thank you so much for dropping a masterclass today on AI and creative strategy. It's been a pleasure to have you on. If you have enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see more of down below, and I will see you in the next one.